We aren't the byproduct of bliss. Once you digest that as a pill, then you can move on to we are prior to consciousness. That's our true nature.
How are you sure about that?
Because you have to revisit over and over again and through self-inquiry through the direct path, they call it, through Advaita teachings and gluing together different sides of the world, because you can't do just one path. Otherwise you get stale. So you got to do different sides of the world. And then you do a dissection of what's real and not real. You filter out. You see what's real after because you realize if it was real, it would remain. What's real remains, right? What's unreal doesn't remain, or what's unreal comes and goes. If everything, so what's real changes, and what's unreal doesn't change. And that means space doesn't change. So space is it just has no reality. It's just between the trough and the crest. It's if you're focusing on you can't have the cross with the trough and all that, whatever. But if you focus on the space long enough, your focal point becomes between space, between the gunas, they call it. The gunas being the wake, sleep, and dream state. If you focus between, so right now we're in waking state talking about it, right? But if we know we're not in dream state, which is the other world, besides the sleep state, which is the third world, waking state, we're in that world right now. If we sit for just right now and focus between the waking state, consciousness slips between the waking state. If you focus between thought, the space between thinking, which is matter, because you can observe it, it comes and goes. For everyone it is, yeah. Everyone's constantly changing. Their personality, the God within them is unchanging, but the personality changes. You suffer only when you attach yourself to the personality. So if I was continuously attaching myself to the personality of somebody in chronic pain that was beat by police, that had severe PTSD from the military, if I carried that, I would slowly drive myself into what most veterans do, which is kill themselves. I'm not nowhere near there anymore because of this strict inquiry process that I maintain inherently.
You don't attach to your...
Well, it's an effort to stabilize beyond time and space into nirguna consciousness. There's a world, there's object. You become aware of a personality. Then you slip into awareness of awareness. Then you're in a conscious awareness. Those are the levels. You can, super reality, they call it. When you're beyond time and space, through the process of the inquiry, you sit and you say, who am I? You know you're not this. You just kind of like unfold, everything just falls away by the direct. That's why they call it, because it's so intense. The energy field you sit in it. If you can't do it just sitting in silence like this, you just find someone who has attained it already. And there's a lot of people that have, Jesus being the highest one, because he's being the most perfect one, obviously, He didn't smoke cigarettes or do half the stuff that most people claim themselves to be high and mighty, They all have secret baths in the caves. I don't stay in that time anymore. It collapses on a daily basis. I stay beyond it. It does its own thing. It's like showing up to the river of immortality and just setting up a little cot and pulling out a ukulele every day now. The river of immortality has been carved through my life. And that's what I talk about. That's what I'm talking about surrender. Not a weak giving up to the demons that are out there looking to take over our consciousness, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not as in not buying into bringing to reality. What biblically is brought to reality. We're here to cancel out the sort of immortality, you know. We carry the sword of immortality by shining the light of awareness on these. It makes more sense for me. So that's why I love living like this, in solitude, where I get to change at an intra-personal level by the minute, and I let the time doesn't clock me anymore because I'm moving too fast for time to clock me. Because I don't stay in that time anymore. It collapses on a daily basis. I stay beyond it. It does its own thing. It's like showing up to the river of immortality and just setting up a little cot and pulling out a ukulele every day now. The river of immortality has been carved through my life. And that's what I talk about. That's what I'm talking about by surrender. Not like not a weak giving up to the demons that are out there looking to take over our consciousness, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like not buying into bringing to reality. You know what biblically is brought to reality. We're here to cancel out the sword of um, immortality, you know. We carry the sword of immortality by shining the light of awareness on these. It makes more sense for me to use the same words over and over again, so I keep drawing it in my own brain. Unidentify with the person that's doing, because the action isn't you, it's God, who's ever acting, you know. Ashavaka Gita says, shun the senses like poison. For some reason that makes sense to me. Turn inward like a tortoise, by the way, that's another thing. Armor yourself with yoga. That's and again, you know, Philippians talks about arming yourself, put on the full armor of God. It's all kind of saying the same thing, really. It's talking about meditation. Lest the eye be single, the body filled with light. And Matthew talking about the meditation, and that's completely overlooked. We're not ever talking about in the church, lest the eye be single, body filled with light, talking about the pineal gland and sending intrathecal pressure up the spine to the cerebrospinal fluid to get the crystalline molecules to activate, tapping into the quantum realm, allowing light into the vessel, you know, to flow freely. Love and compassion for each other like Jesus would do. You know, Holy Spirit filling everybody. We're all, you know, just in rhythm and like in a deep, like original primordial rhythm. Everyone's on their own instrument, just smiling and being like, this is absolutely out of this world. Never heard anything like this. Truth be told, what happened today is I wait for the Savior to come and do it for me. I put, you know, the responsibility on my shoulders and take the responsibility to sit in ice water every morning and breathe and do the practices, you know, and do. That's the type of responsibility I'm talking about, you know, nothing too crazy. Just sitting with God and sitting in the pain instead of smoking sometimes. Yeah, and let's be honest, I smoke a fair amount of cannabis. But I think anybody with severe wounds would do the same. Comparatively to pharmaceuticals, you know, there's no question. So yeah, I see that future. It's bright. I'm turned in the light. All I see is light. Because I'm turned towards it. If I stopped turning towards the light, it's as simple as, this is a John Butler thing I'm taking from, by the way. You can look him up. He's like a very, very, very intelligent Christian, actually. He's rips from the Bible all the time. He's on YouTube. His videos are phenomenal. And that's how he describes it. I'm looking at the light. I turn away from the light. Now, all I see is darkness.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the darkness. Now I'm in the light again. That's how he describes it. So simple, right?
Yeah.
And then another thing he says, feet on the ground, bottom in the chair, listen and look. Seek and ye shall find. The kingdom is within, spread across the earth, and man sees it not. I think the search is actually over. It's just being played out, you know. That whether I've already died and I'm in an echo, or uh, in a quantum alternate realm where I'm playing out like a hero's role, a journey of the hero in a dream of a child, within a dream of a child. You know what I mean? It's happening because I'm here for it. That's the only difference. If you're not children, you can't enter the kingdom. Isn't that right? Isn't that said? You become children again. You must become children. Yes, ye become children again. You cannot enter the kingdom. I mean, it's simple as simply put. So that means become a child again.
In your opinion?
It means to go in to the wounded child and figure out who it is, because that's who you are. Truly, it means your true nature as a child. All the layers onionized onto you over time is not your true nature, and that's what you carry. Your true nature is of a child. Your core is a child, your child of God. That's actually who you truly are. So, in adulthood, you're carrying around all of these layers of egoic entity on you. All different monkeys just holding on your back and neck, latched on, you know. And then you're listening a lot of times to certain people, like sold on the fact that you open up it's a portal to demons when you meditate. When all through the Gospels, it's talking about meditation, encrypted, of course. It's talking about meditation. It doesn't say anything about reading the Bible or going to church in the Bible. Jesus didn't say, actually, as a matter of fact, not one stone will be sitting on top of the other one. He destroyed the churches of man, flipped the tables of Jerusalem, and whatnot.
Yeah.
The body's made of mostly of water, so the fact that sound penetrates the body on a cellular level and reorganizes the elements of the body on a cellular metaphysical level as well, because it affects the aura instantly. And tie that with the breath, with the pranayama, which is radical oxygenation, the balance of the breath, the release of the nitrous oxide, the cerebrospinal fluid activation, you know, the kundalini activation, if you just apply the Ashwini mudra, which is pulling the pelvic floor up with the breathing, and the retention, which is the not breathing. You tie all that into one little yogic knot, you have yourself a recipe for awakening and ascension, you know, if you do everything. And then you combine everything. You combine the Buddhist teachings, you combine Thich Nhat Hanh's, hold yourself like a mother, that kind of compassion. That's breathe in, calm, breathe out, ease. Breathe in, deep, slow. Smile, release. You just keep doing that. In, out, deep, slow. It's just so relieving to know that's all you gotta do. I breathe. Yeah, I don't get philosophical like I'm talking now. I'm just doing this just to have entertainment and entertaining talk. Normally, there's no entertainment. It's just I switch off and I breathe. That's it. Simple as that. Feel fear. I did it on this thing. Like I just feel fear. I take a deep breath. I don't know how many breaths I've taken on camera, but a lot. Like deep breaths, you know.
Yeah.
Because I naturally this form is scared of death. I'm not scared of death. You know, this type of pain stimulates a fear of death, and then to quench and quell the flames and to extinguish it, really, you take a breath and it's out. It's not a question of if it's real or not. It comes and goes, so it's not real. We've already established that. It comes and goes, so it's not real. What's real is the extinguished personification attached to it all.